Morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular Board of Directors meeting. There's some.
Yeah, there's, I think that's on.
Somebody has their speaker on.
I think I got it.
You got it? Thank you. It is September 14th, 2023, and it is 9 a.m. I'd like to let the public know, firstly, that we will be taking public testimony throughout this board meeting as we go through each agenda item. I also see that we have one director who is attending remotely at this time. This Director Sasaki. Director Sasaki, is there anyone else with you in attendance today?
There is not.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I would like to ask our Board Secretary Essa to take a roll call.
And in attendance today, we have Chair Gary Mackler, Vice Chair Carol Ryman, and Directors Sean Sasaki, Jason Bradshaw, Jay Kimura, Don Mende, and Designee Scott Murakami.
Thank you. I would like to say hello to Director Murakami. Welcome. Would you like to introduce yourself or say a few words before we move on?
Sure. I'm Scott Murakami. I work in the director's office in DBED. I do a lot in workforce development for the department and alignment with the public workforce system. And I used to be the director at DLIR. Thank you for welcoming me.
Thanks for joining us. I would also like to ask Gordon Pang to come up and explain what the ground rules are for public testimony.
Morning, Board Chair, Vice Chair, and other board members. Anyone wishing to present oral testimony this morning should indicate so to the chair. Oral testimony will be limited to 3 minutes, subject to the discretion of the chair. Your testimony must be related to an item on the board agenda. Before you begin your testimony, we ask that you identify yourself and spell out your name for the record. After 3 minutes, I will call time, after which you will have 15 seconds to conclude your testimony. Please keep in mind that this is an opportunity for you to share your thoughts with us. If you ask questions during your testimony, neither the board nor the staff is required to provide an answer. And for anyone wishing to submit written testimony, instructions for doing so are on the front page of the agenda under the section titled Public Testimony. Thank you to everyone for your cooperation.
Okay, I'd like to move on to section 2A, which are the regular meeting minutes for August 10th, 2023. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you, Carol. Is there any discussion, any corrections or deletions or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. As for two items 2B and 2C executive session meeting minutes, we're anticipating an executive session later in today's meeting, and we'll take those up during the executive session. Going on to section 3 of the agenda. This is item A. This is information on the impact of the Maui wildfires on affordable housing inventory and potential strategies that Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation may undertake to facilitate recovery. And I guess I will ask Dean for a briefing on that.
Yes, morning, Chair, Vice Chair. I'll be providing this the briefing on this information. So this item presents the impact of the recent wildfires on Maui that had on affordable housing and the action that HHFDC may undertake to facilitate recovery. As you're all aware, on August 8th, there were fires that swept through Lahaina and Kula, resulting in loss of lives, homes, and of course, the greater loss of an entire community. The fire is known to have claimed 155 lives and damage or destroyed 2,300 structures and roughly 3,500 homes. A number of affordable properties were affected by the fire, and those properties are listed in table 1. We estimate that 547 units were destroyed, which does not include the 200-unit Kai'ulu project, which is under construction. That project did suffer some damage, but luckily it was not severe. HHFDC properties that were affected include the 142-unit Front Street Apartments, which is a total loss. The 200-unit Kai'ulu project under construction, which is now delayed, and 2 single-family homes in Kula, which were fortunately vacant at the time. In response to the fires, Governor Green asked HHFDC to stand up a call center that would create an inventory of homes, rooms, vacation rentals, or accessory dwelling units that could be used to house survivors of the fire. Staff worked very quickly to stand up the program, and on August 14th, the Hawaii Fire Relief Housing Program was launched. And the objective of this program is to match property owners who have any type of accommodation available to house displaced persons. For the initial week, the program was staffed 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And it is now staffed during normal business hours. As of today, we have 1,278 units that have been offered to house survivors. Staff had verified 882 of the submittals, and we estimate that 307 families have been placed or found housing through the program. We've also responded to over 750 phone calls and over 600 email inquiries from the public. And I'd really like to commend the staff for the work that they did in standing up this program. It really was all hands on deck effort, and everyone contributed to this. We had our accountants, engineers, finance specialists taking calls and making calls to property owners. And so for that initial week especially, it was just a mad rush to get this program stood up, and I think they did a great job. I'll touch briefly on what's being done now to help the survivors of the fire and what the next steps are. Exhibit A in your packet shows the response and recovery programs that are or will be implemented by various agencies. The first phase basically was provide immediate shelter for those who are displaced. And that primarily was in congregate settings such as the civic centers, gyms, or such as the convention center, where that was used to house travelers primarily. And also through the governor's hotel program, which Director Tokioka was very heavily involved in that. And also by friends and family on Maui opening their homes to those who were displaced. The second phase, which is the phase that we're in now, is providing temporary non-congregate sheltering, such as at hotels, vacation rentals, or through homes being offered, such as through our Hawaii Fire Relief Housing Program. So that's the phase we're in now. And the third phase involves providing longer-term temporary housing. And this is where FEMA has several programs which can provide assistance. They have what's called a rental assistance program, where they will pay fair market rent to house eligible persons in rental units on Maui, or actually statewide, actually. They also have a direct lease program where FEMA will be directly leasing properties from property managers and placing eligible persons in those units. And again, that's those for long-term rentals, 18 months, possibly longer. But because the rental stock on Maui is very limited, there probably will be a need for some type of temporary shelters. And that's what FEMA can also assist with in evaluating what might be appropriate and providing infrastructure if needed to develop those units on lands that are identified. And the fourth phase, which is really what HHFDC can contribute to, is the development of long-term replacement housing. And that provides a segue into some of the strategies that we're looking at to facilitate long-term recovery on Maui. There are 8 strategies listed in the 4 action. The first 3 I'll call low-hanging fruit. These are things that are entirely within our control that we can do. So it's items such as allocating a percentage of the state's private activity bonds for projects on Maui. We could allocate, for example, 20-30% specifically for Maui projects. Another is to work with developers to expedite ongoing housing projects. We've already had conversations with developers with projects underway, and we've talked to them, what would they need to expedite construction of their projects? Could they double up shifts? Could they extend shifts? And would they need additional resources from us to do that? And a third is to issue loans from dwelling unit revolving fund to the county for infrastructure redevelopment. There's wide scale loss of infrastructure in Lahaina. So if the county needs their funding, that is something that we can provide to them. Other strategies that can be implemented require congressional approvals. But I'll note that many of the strategies that are listed have received approval from Congress. So there is precedent for these actions. One is to increase Hawaii's allocation of 9% tax credits. 9% tax credits are allocated to Hawaii on a pro rata basis or on a per capita basis. So what we'd be doing is asking Congress to supplement the amount of credits that we are normally given. And this has been done for other disaster declared areas. Another is to reduce the 50% test for 4% LIHTC projects, which would allow us to stretch our bond allocation. Third is to broaden the applicability of the 130% basis boost. This is allowed in difficult to develop areas, so we'd be asking that all of Maui County be designated a difficult to develop area. Also suspending the placed in service deadline for 9% projects. Normally for 9% projects, there's a 2-year window in which the project must be placed in service, but delays likely could occur on Maui due to permitting backlogs, material and labor shortages, and any number of unforeseen circumstances that could arise. And the last strategy is issuance of special private activity bonds. This is separate from the state's allocation of bond cap. And this has been used in other disaster prepared areas to finance the construction of market and affordable homes, as well as to rebuild commercial areas. So it's used for not just for affordable housing, but for market housing and commercial purposes. Staff is communicating these strategies to the governor's office so that they can be relayed on to our congressional team. And I also want to note that all the strategies that we list here, message has always been clear that what gets built, when it gets built, and where is a county decision. That FEMA and the state are here as a resource, but we're here to support the county's decisions. So I just want to make that clear also.
Thank you. Before I ask board members for discussion, I'd like to invite anyone from the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item. Hearing none, I'd like to go ahead and just open it up to the board for questions or discussion for you. Board members? Anyone?
Well, I'd like to say congratulations for stepping up and doing a great job.
Thank you, and also to staff that really stepped up today.
It really was a staff that stepped up.
I do want to raise one item in terms of potential strategy, and that, looking at the number of structures, 3,500 homes, I'm going to assume that many of those are, or the majority even, are privately owned single family residences. So I recall after Hurricane Iniki that we found there were a number of homeowners who were either underinsured or uninsured because they didn't paid off their mortgage and decided not to continue to keep insurance. And that happened more than you know. And I'm just wondering out loud if there's any single family financial assistance program that can be explored to down the road, of course, to help those who might find themselves in that kind of a situation where they need some loan assistance.
We have been talking about that, and that's where the additional bond issuance could really help us to provide the financing for us to stand up a single family program
Okay.
to provide the gap between those homes which are underinsured, because I think we're gonna find that there are a number of properties which had insurance, but they are underinsured because their premiums weren't, even if the inflation factor didn't rise enough with actual inflation.
Well, great. I'm glad you're having those discussions. Thank you. That's all I had. So anything else, then we will receive this agenda item. And thank you. Moving on to the next agenda item, which is under 3B of our agenda. This is to approve an extension to the resolution number 158, which provides for official intent with respect to the issuance of Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Holyoke IKEA 1 project located in Kihei, Maui. TMK number 3-9-002-076 CPR 0001. David, you want to present? Oh, I'm sorry. Got ahead of me.
Second.
Okay, well, before, why don't you go ahead and present, and then I'll ask for testimony after.
Thank you, Chair. Morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, David White, Finance Manager. So this is an request for an extension for Holyoke IKEA 1. Holyoke IKEA 1 is a 90-unit affordable housing project for families in Kihei. It consists of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, serving those up to 30, 50, and 60% AMI with 1 dedicated homeless unit. The developer is Ike Development LLC, and the property manager will be Mark Development Inc. The project was originally awarded on June 8th, 2021, and the financing award consists of up to $28.8 million in HMMF tax exempt bonds, $2,263,499 in federal LIHTC over 10 years, and the same amount in state LIHTC over 5 years, and a rental housing revolving fund loan of up to $12,735,000. The current deadline to issue HMMF bonds for the project is October 12th, 2023. And on August 21st, 2023, the awardee submitted a request to extend this deadline to February 16th, 2024. The project is actually targeting its financial closing for October 2023 and the commencement of construction shortly thereafter. The project anticipates completion in Q1 of 2025. They have received approval for all permits, and all permits are ready to issue. That was finalized this past week. All financing commitments are in place, and the loan agreements for the Affordable Housing Fund grant are being finalized and executed. And since all permits have now been received and documents are being scheduled for execution, this extension is being requested to basically fill the gap between the current expiration date of October 12th and our actual closing date, which is being worked on right now. So it's simply a contingency in the event of any unforeseen and unfortunate events. We're fully intent on closing well before the end of the year. Staff has reviewed this request and is recommending that the board approve the following: the extension to the deadline to issue HMF bonds for Holyoke IKEA 1 from October 12th, 2023 to February 16th, 2024. Still subject to all the requirements as set forth in the original 4 action dated July 8th, 2021, and to authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this 4 action. The developer is present with us today for any questions the board may have.
Before I get to that, I'd like to ask if there's anyone in the public who would like to give testimony on this agenda item. Hearing none, directors, do you have any questions for our finance manager or for the developer here representing this project? Okay, if not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Going on to item 3C. This is to approve an extension to the rental housing revolving fund. Letter of intent for Haleakea 1 project located in Kihei, Hawaii, TMK number 23-9-002-076 CPR 001. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the public who would like to give testimony on this agenda item? Hearing none, David?
So this is the same project as the previous for action, Haleakea 1. The original rental housing revolving fund letter of intent was executed by the awardee on July 20th, 2021. The current deadline to close the rental housing revolving fund loan for the project is October 12th, 2023. This date and the deadline to issue the HMF bonds was coordinated and was approved by the board on July 8th, 2023. On August 21st, the awardee submitted a request to extend the deadline to close the RHRF loan to February 16th, 2024. Again, the project is currently on its closing calls and coordinating signatures on documents. Permits have been approved and ready to issue. And again, the extension is merely precautionary as the project is targeting closing in October 2023. The structure and the terms of the rental housing revolving fund loan for the project that were previously approved by the board are still in place with no changes. Staff has reviewed this request and recommends the board approve the extension of the RHRF letter of intent. Deadline for closing to amend that to February 16th, 2024, subject to all the same requirements as set forth in the for action dated July 8th, 2021, and to authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action.
Board members, are there any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving on to item 3D, this is to approve resolution number 188, authorizing the issuance of Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Haleakea 1 project located in Kihei, Hawaii, TMK number 23-9-002-076 CPR 0001. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? If not, David?
Thank you, Chair. So staying with Haleakea 1, same project, 90-unit family project located in Kihei, Maui, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, serving those up to 30, 50, and 60% AMI. The project has an affordability commitment period of 61 years and was originally awarded on July 8th, 2021. The financing for the project consists of up to 28.8 million in HMF tax exempt bonds, $2,263,499 in federal LIHTC over 10 years and state LIHTC over 5 years, and a rental housing revolving fund loan of up to $12,735,000. The project is also receiving an affordable housing fund grant for the county of Maui for $3,300,000. The final total project cost is $52,038,964 or $571 per square foot. The bond will be a private placement with Bank of Hawaii in the amount of $28 million. The awardee expects the issuance of the bonds to fund over 50% of the project's anticipated basis, which will therefore qualify the project to receive 4% federal and state LIHTC. Resolution 188 satisfies the requirements to accomplish and complete the HMMF bond sale. It authorizes the issuance, sale, and delivery of the bonds up to $28.8 million for the purposes of making a mortgage loan to provide financing support for the project. It approves and authorizes related actions and the execution and delivery of related documents and agreements. The final bond issuance is subject to the availability of volume cap and final approval by the Department of Budget and Finance and the Governor. Staff has reviewed the request in the resolution and is recommending that the board approve resolution 188, authorizing the final issuance, sale, and delivery of HMF bonds for the Halil PEK-01 project, and authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action.
Okay, are there any questions, board members? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Going on to item 3F, today's agenda. This is to approve a rental housing revolving fund project award for. Oh, did I miss the part? Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped. Okay. Approve an award of federal and state low-income housing tax credits from the state's 2023 volume cap for the Oahe Ridge Phase 2 project located in Nihui, Kauai. TMK number 43-8-005-022 CPR 0003. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, there's a second. Thank you. Is there anyone in the public wanting to give testimony on this agenda item? Hearing none, turn it over to David again.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a additional 9% LIHTC award from the state of Hawaii's 2023 LIHTC volume cap. The 2023 volume cap limit, as determined by the Internal Revenue Service, is $2.75 per capita, of which Hawaii received the small state minimum, totaling $3,960,539 for 2023. The applications for our 2023 funding round were released in December 2022 and due on February 17th, 2023. The complete list of applicants for 9% LIHTC awards and their corresponding rental housing revolving fund requests, if any, are listed in alphabetical order on page 2 of the for action under section 2, letter H. We're using the criteria and guidelines of the 2022-2023 qualified allocation plan. To evaluate applications, the finance branch with the assistance of the development branch completed their review. The QAP utilizes a point system to facilitate project ranking of all applicants based on the established evaluation criteria. The point system is an important component in determining project ranking. However, the point system cannot be the sole determining factor for LIHTC awards. In addition to the point system, HHFDC may consider other relevant factors that it deems necessary to be in the best interest of affordable housing for the state of Hawaii. These include, but are not limited to, the development team's experience and performance, financial condition and performance of the development team, other related developments, timing of the project, health and safety precautions for the tenants, at-risk conversions, housing inventory, housing policies at the state and county levels, the overall development and operating budgets, and also market conditions. So the amount of LIHTC reserved or allocated to a particular project will be always limited to the minimum amount that HHFDC or and its sole discretion deems necessary to make the project feasible. All projects must meet the minimum thresholds as established in section 3B of the QAP to receive consideration. And based on the foregoing, staff is recommending a 9% LIHTC award for the Oahe Ridge project, the Oahe Ridge Phase 2 project in Nihui, Kauai. The project's LIHTC scoring breakdown can be found on Exhibit A of the for action. Overall, the project scored 3rd in LIHTC aggregate scoring, and staff has worked with the developer, the applicant, to resolve concerns regarding the project's readiness. Oahe Ridge Phase 2 is a 60-unit project for families located in Nihui, Kauai. This is the second phase of a 2-phase project. The first phase was awarded on August 11th, 2022, and has started its bond closing calls. The applicant is a partnership between the Hawaii Community Development Board, 3 Leaf Holdings, Inc., and Mark Development. The project consists of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, serving those up to 30, 50, and 60% AMIs. The project's area overall is 45,765 square feet. In its application, Wahi Ridge Phase 2 requested a 9% volume cap reservation in the amount of $1,680,000 over 10 years and $1,680,000 over 5 years in state contract. A rental housing revolving fund reward of $14 million will be discussed in a subsequent for action. The overall project cost is estimated at $33,815,038, which equates to approximately $738 per square foot. In addition to the requested LIHTC and RHRF, the project is also being financed through senior financing through American Savings Bank, a subordinate loan from the County of Hawaii, and also anticipated solar tax credit equity. A market study that was provided with the application indicated more than adequate demand for rental housing among those with incomes up to at 30% and up to 60% KMI in the primary market area. Lease up is expected within 12 months from the beginning of occupancy. The project's EA exemption was processed through HHFDC and is expected in any day now. The project anticipates receiving its grading and building permits by November of 2023 and it's proceeding to financial loan closing shortly thereafter. And we have the developer and its representatives present today to provide more information to the board on this project.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board, Executive Director Murakami, and finance staff. My name is Michael Woody Oakland, representing Mark Development, as well as Craig Watase, and I believe Dean Sakata is online as well. We want to thank you for your continued support in development of affordable housing in the state of Hawaii, as well as Wahi Ridge Phase 2. So the team behind Wahi Ridge Phase 2 is a partnership of 3 developers, 3 Leaf, White Community Development Board, and Mark Development Inc. This is a partnership with a long track record of developing and delivering quality affordable housing to the state of Hawaii. Collectively, the team has successfully developed or owned roughly 3,500 affordable units. We currently manage over 360 affordable housing units on the island of Kauai and have developed or owned affordable housing projects across 25 affordable housing projects across the state of Hawaii. Our team's key strength is our extensive experience on the island. Mark Development's first project on the island of Kauai, Opopohale, was completed back in 1979. Our extended team consists of Shore Construction, Goodfellow Brothers, Mark Ventura AIA, and Bao Engineering, all of whom have vast experience on the island of Kauai. This same team successfully completed Koa E Makana, a 134 unit multifamily project located in Koloa, Kauai, back in 2020. Wahi Ridge Phase 2 is a pedestrian-friendly project and focused on active lifestyles. It is centrally located in Lehue and is walking distance from the Kukui Grove Business District, as well as additional employers and healthcare services. Additionally, there is easy access to the highway, as well as on-site parking, EV charging, and storage for multimodal transportation. So as David mentioned, Wahi Ridge Phase 2 is a 60-unit multifamily project serving income ranges from 30, 50, and 60% area median income with 1 on-site manager's unit. The project will have 30 one-bedroom units, 15 two-bedroom units, and 15 three-bedroom units. This unit breakdown was designed for Kauai based on our experience and of market demand from owning and managing rental units on the island. Some of the project amenities will include a barbecue area, unique playground equipment, a multi-purpose community room, and scooter, bike, and kayak storage. As this is Phase 2, it is key to note that development of Phase 1 and Phase 2 will be coordinated. Phase 1 is tackling the offsite infrastructure, as there will be additional efficiency gained as Phase 1 and Phase 2 share the same design and construction team. The same building design will also be utilized to not only increase cohesion between the 2 phases, but to cut cost and time. Here you can see our development schedule with site acquisition estimated for Q4 of this year, with 100% lease up estimated for Q4 of 2025. I want to say thank you, and if there's any questions from the board, we are happy to take them at this time.
Thank you for the presentation. Board members, do you have any questions for this project? Greg's in the room. Yeah, well, we have him. Okay, if not, I'm going to call for the question. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Going on to the next agenda item, this is item 3F. This is to approve a rental housing revolving fund project award for the Hawaii Ridge Phase 2 project located in Lihue, Hawaii, TMK number 4-8-005-022, CPR 0003. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Is there anyone in the public wanting to give testimony on this agenda item? If not, turn it back over to David.
Thank you, Chair. Again, this is the corresponding RHRF award for Hawaii Ridge Phase 2. So within the consolidated application, the applicant submitted on February 17th, 2023, Hawaii Ridge Hui 2 LLP submitted a request for a rental housing revolving fund loan of up to $14 million. The application was evaluated and scored per the procedures and criteria outlined in Hawaii Administrative Rules, Chapter 15-311. The project was among the 27 projects listed on the RHRF final approved project list, as approved by the HHFDC board on May 11th, 2023. Staff reviewed the request and worked with the developer on the final terms of the proposed loan. The structure determined by staff of the loan is as follows. A rental housing revolving fund loan in the amount of $14 million, 0% interest for the construction interim period, years 1 and 2, 0.25% interest after year 2, an origination fee due at loan financial closing of 0.5% of the loan amount, a final loan term of 62 years with years 1 and 2 as the construction or interim period, and years 30 through 60 as the permanent, 33 through 62 as the permanent loan period. There will be no payments due in years 1 and 2. After year 2, payments will be 65% of available project cash flow after payment of expenses, senior debt service, and other recognized and allowed expenses. The loan will be a second mortgage on the project site, subordinate in lead position only to the senior loan. The LTV of the project shall not exceed an aggregate of 100%, 100% in aggregate debt. There will be no disbursement of developer fee until the satisfactory completion of the project, and the award is subject to the availability of RHRF funds. Staff has reviewed the application and is recommending that the board of directors approve the following for Hawaii Ridge Phase 2. An RHRF project award of up to $14 million for the benefit of Hawaii Ridge Phase 2 with the terms and conditions prescribed in Section 3G of the 4 action and in the RHRF preliminary commitment letter, Exhibit C. All subject to the following: the authorization and approval of the governor for the proposed project and the release of RHRF program funds as mandated under Chapter 15-311 of Hawaii Administrative Rules. The execution of all documentation satisfactory to HHFDC outlining the terms and conditions of the project award. These documents shall specify the standard terms and conditions as required to meet all statutory requirements of the RHRF program and the specific terms and conditions that are applicable to the applicant's request for project award funds. Also subject to completion of all necessary documentation to secure the release of RHRF funds and certification of the applicant to comply with all applicable statutory program requirements, including but not limited to chapters 343, 103D, 104, and chapter 103-50 of Hawaii Revised Statutes as they relate to the use of state funds. Again, total fees paid to the developer for the project, including but not limited to the developer fee, overhead shall not exceed the amounts indicated in the applicant's consolidated application and in this for action. and subject to the availability of our HRF program funds. Also recommending the board authorize the executive director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action.
Any questions, board members? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Go on to item 3G, today's agenda. This is to approve resolution 192, authorizing the issuance of Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Holly Cove project located in Aiea, Oahu, TMK number 19-9-078 006. Can I have a motion? Thank you. Is there a second? Ms. Carroll? Is there anyone in the public wanting to give testimony on this agenda item? If not, turn it over to you, back to you, David.
Thank you, Chair. So this is the request for a final authorization to issue bonds for Hollywood Highlands. Hollywood Highlands is a 140 unit project for seniors located in Oahu. The project consists of studios and one bedroom units serving those up to 30, 50, and 60% AMI. The developer is EAH Inc. and it is leasehold loan owned on land owned by the city and county of Honolulu with a total project area of 95,843 square feet. The project was originally awarded on July 8th, 2021. On July 13th, 2023, the board approved the following final amended award amounts to the project. Up to $33,175,000 in tax exempt HMMF bonds. $3,089,136 in annual federal LIHTC over 10 years, and the same amount in annual state LIHTC over 5 years. A $1,438,601 taxable loan during the construction period, and a final rental housing revolving fund loan of up to $23,792,353. In addition to the financing structure, the project has secured an affordable housing fund loan of $6 million. The total project cost is $62,606,988, which equates to $653 per square foot. The HMF bonds for the project will be a private placement with Bank of Hawaii, with the issuance amount up to $33,175,000 to support the construction and permanent financing of the project. The issuance will fund over 50% of the project's anticipated basis, which will qualify the project for 4% state and federal LIHTC. The issuance resolution 192 satisfies the requirements to accomplish and complete the HMMF bond sale. The resolution authorizes the issuance, sale, and delivery of the proposed HMMF bonds in an amount not to exceed $33,175,000 for the purposes of making a mortgage loan to provide financing for the project. It approves and authorizes all related actions, the execution and delivery of all documents and agreements. The final bond issuance is subject to the availability of volume cap and final approval by the Department of Budget and Finance and the governor. This project is on its bond calls and financial closing is targeted for October 6th, 2023, with a subsequent start of construction shortly thereafter. Project is targeting completion in Q3 2025. All permits have been received. Closing documents are being circulated for signatures. Staff has reviewed the request and the resolution and is recommending that the Board of Directors approve resolution 192, which authorizes a tax exempt issuance of up to $33,175,000 in HMF bonds, subject to the provisions and conditions in this for action and its exhibits. And to authorize the Executive Director to undertake all tasks necessary to effectuate the purposes of this for action. And we have the developer present with us today, if there are any questions from the board.
Thank you, David. Board members, do you have any questions for David or for Marion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Congratulations. There you go. Good one. Okay, I'd like to go on to the next agenda item, which is item 3H. This is to approve resolution number 193, which amends resolution number 173. by increasing the intended issuance amount of Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds, and request from the awardee to increase the low-income housing tax credits reservation for the Rice Street Apartments project located in Lihue, Kauai, TP numbers 4-3-6-003-010 and 066. Can I have a motion? So moved. There a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Anyone from the public wishing to give testimony for this agenda item? Not hearing none, back to you, David.
Thank you, Sharon. So this is the Rice Street Apartments project, requesting an increase in bonds and LIHTC allocation. The project is a 66-unit project serving families located in Lihue, Kauai. It consists of 1 and 2 bedroom units, serving those up to 30, 40, and 60% AMI. The total project area, 68,314 square feet, and was originally awarded on July 14th, 2022. On May 19th, 2023, the awardee submitted a request to increase the HMMF and LIHTC awards as follows. A requested increase in tax exempt HMMF bonds to $20,300,000, increasing from the original awarded amount of $16,200,000. An increase of up to $1,859,076 in federal LIHTC over 10 years and state LIHTC over 5 years in the same amount, up from the original awarded amount, which was $1,554,037 for state and federal LIHTC. The awardee provided detail on a total budget increase to the project of $6,419,912, which represented a 17% increase in costs. The increases are primarily attributed to increases in construction and financing. Site construction costs were detailed as increasing $943,000 or 64% since the time of the original application and award. Vertical construction costs have increased by $3.3 million or 20%. And the financing costs and syndication pricing changes resulted in cost increases of $1.8 million, which is a 50% increase. In evaluating the request, staff re-underwrote the project with these new amounts and compared the results alongside the 2022 applicants, which had competed with originally. It is noted that the developer has not increased their developer fee. The project and the developer also worked to obtain 5 additional project-based vouchers to increase the number of DVs to 20 to help enhance cash flow and debt service. The project's building permits are ready and they are targeting a loan closing in Q4 2023 with the immediate start of construction thereafter. And I would like to call the developer up to give further detail on this request and also to reacquaint the board with this project.
Good morning. My name is Ava Goldman. It's a pleasure to be here today on behalf of the developers of Rice Street Apartments. I'm here with 2 of those developers, Devin Belknap with Riverbend, and Jim Ivory from Culture Park. And it's our pleasure to be here today. And let me try this one. Thank you. Nope, not that one. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Let me introduce you first. Reintroduce you to Devin Belknap from Riverbend Management to talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, Riverbend Management is a family-owned company. We have lots of different companies and properties across Hawaii, Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana. Our primary focus is in agriculture or in ranching, but we also do some commercial real estate development as necessary. Riverbend has successfully developed over 2.5 million square feet of office, retail, self-storage, multifamily, and single-family uses. Including our team has the experience of over 4,000 units, mixed income units, largely in the Western United States. The picture above is a project that we did in Idaho, which is very representative to the project that we're proposing here in Lihue. Recently, Riverbend started Hawaii Meats, which is a meat processing plant in Oahu and on the Big Island of Hawaii. We are trying to, with the goal of supporting local industry and helping Hawaii eat local and be self-sufficient in the beef industry. In a further commitment to the community, Riverbend has, since 2018, wanted to participate with the County of Kauai in providing affordable housing. And that is why we started the Bright Street Apartments project. We're working on it since then.
Thank you, Devin. Let me talk a little bit about Foresight Affordable Housing. I've worked with Foresight for many, many decades. They're a Section 501c3 nonprofit organization. They happen to be owners of a community in Hawaii called Kamakana Senior, which is 85 units of LIHTC housing in Kailua Kona. They happen to also be the managing or co-managing member of 10 successful LIHTC communities across the nation. And as it indicates on the slide, they've been in existence for over 25 years. Next, let me turn to Jim Ivory from Fulcher Pratt.
Good morning. My name is Jim Ivory. I handle and oversee our development efforts in the Western U.S. Fulcher Pratt is a family owned company. We've been around for over 60 years. We're based in Potomac, Maryland. However, we also have an office in Southern California where we work on the Western U.S. We're currently wrapping up 2 affordable deals, one in Washington, D.C., another in upstate New York. As it says there, we have about 9,100 residential units. A good portion of that is affordable. And we're very familiar with the product type and what we keep proposing to do here. And we've partnered with Riverbend Management on a number of deals over the year and over the years and are happy to be here with them in pursuit of this.
And I should mention also that Fulcher Pratt has some tax credit experience. So let me just say a few comments about my own firm. I have a housing consulting firm. We've developed over the years, I have developed over the years with lots of help, over 9,400 LIHTC units, including 1,165 units in Hawaii. On the top right-hand corner is the towers of Kuhio Park, which I'm sure you're familiar with, which we worked in partnership with the Housing Authority. When I say we, at the time, for about 25 years, I was with the Michaels Development Company. I started out as a part-time employee, and by the time I left about 20 years later, I had been president of the company for a couple of years. The photo on the left is Kamakana, either senior or family, which, as I mentioned previously, is an 85-unit housing development on the Big Island. And if Karen is still here, let me give some kudos to Karen Seddon as well, because she was with the Michaels Development Company at the time, and she was involved in that development as well. So let's talk about Rice Street. Rice Street is located right at the corner of Umi and Rice Street in Lihue. So it is located right at the center of Lihue's urban core. It has 3 stories of affordable residential over ground floor retail. And as a mixed-use development, it meets the core goal of the Lihue Town Core Urban Design Plan, which is mixed-use housing where people both live and work. It is very affordable housing, 100% affordable, thanks to Kauai County, who's provided 20 units of Section 8 project-based vouchers and VASH units, which is housing for veterans. Rice Street will be deeply affordable. So for those 20 units, residents will pay 30% of their income, whatever it is, and the federal government will pay the balance. The remainder of the units are going to be affordable at 60% of AMI. We have experienced cost increases. And as David mentioned, those cost increases are primarily due to increases in construction and related increases in financing costs. The more we need to borrow, and with interest rates rising, the more expensive it is. So, we started out pretty confident that our construction numbers were, reasonable. And the reason that we thought so was because we had actually gotten numbers from a general contractor. And then those numbers were blessed by a construction manager. However, since we received the award, there have been national escalations in construction costs and also, as you know, increases in interest rates. We also have established, we have also found that we've run into some special site conditions. One of them is that we realized that we would need to have underground utilities. We were planning on putting scaffolding in front of the building, but we discovered that it was going to be a problem because of the overhead line. So we decided for the safety of our workers, that we needed to put the utilities underground. And also we ran into some issues with soil balancing where we have to bring some more soils to the site. So what did we do? This all happened before we ever asked HHFDC for any assistance. First of all, we secured the services of an alternative general contractor. We decided that we would be doing better price-wise and otherwise by selecting another general contractor, and that contractor is Unlimited Construction. The other thing we did was we found $1.6 million in value engineering. And we believe we did that without sacrificing the quality of the project for our residents. And as David mentioned, we also increased our borrowing power because the county, in addition to the 15 Section 8 project-based vouchers that are already awarded us, found 5 VASH veterans rental assistance units that could also provide. And so we were able to borrow more money. Even with the value engineering, we believe we're still providing the same level of amenities for our residents. So as I mentioned up front, the ground floor is going to be retail, which is a convenience to our residents. Every floor will have amenity rooms. One floor will have a community room, another floor will have a computer room. And those amenity rooms, community room and computer room will allow our social service provider, Goodwill Hawaii, to provide resident activities and supported services for our residents. We also have laundry facilities on site. The revised sources and uses meet. You can see that our HRF loan stays exactly where it was. We have not asked for an increase. The county money stands exactly where it was. We have not asked for an increase. Where there are increases is in the amount of equity, the amount of tax exempt debt. And you can see that the revised permanent mortgage loan actually went up a little bit, even with increased interest rates because of those 5 VASH units and because of general increases in income. And we've also increased our deferred development date to make sure that we have sources and uses matching. So what is it we respectfully request from the HHFDC board? Because our costs went up, our aggregate gate basis went up, and therefore we need more tax credit allocation in order to meet the 50% tax. So our request has gone from the $16.2 million that was awarded to $20.3 million, and that will allow us to meet 50% tax. And secondly, again, because of increased costs, we have increased eligible basis. And therefore, we can support rather than $1,544,037 in annual allocation, we can support $1,859,076 in increased basis. So we're not asking for additional HRF money. We're simply asking for an increase in the volume cap allocation, the tax exempt volume cap allocation, and an increase in the annual 4% credit. We're good to go. With your approval in hand, we also have a zoning permit in hand. We have 100% plans completed. We have a general contractor on board with a firm bid. Our building permits have been approved, and we just got DCAP approval about a week ago. So with your approval today, which we respectfully request, we will be in great shape, and mahalo.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions for the developer representatives? Anyone? I do have one question, and it's not so much a finance as it is a project question, given that you have a two-story structure existing on the project site with asphalt parking, have you worked through with the county how to minimize the impact on its landfill for removing the existing structure?
We've not gotten into that level of detail, but Riverbend, we have like a rock crusher on one of our ranches in Kauai, so we can mobilize that to help process the material. And we can store it on our little mill property in preparation to where we redevelop that for additional affordable housing as well. So we have some ideas. We just haven't got the demo contractors involved and all the right people, but we'd like to hear from them and the county and come up with solutions where we minimize trucking. And
I only ask that because the county is looking at expansion of its existing landfill, so its space is limited, so anything you can do to mitigate the impact would be certainly helpful. Anyone else with questions? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, thank you, the motion carries.
Thank you very much.
I'd like to go on to, this is item 3I. This is to approve one proposal and master plan submitted by EAH Inc. in response to Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation's request for proposal RFP development RFP -23-001 to EAH Inc. and other successor entity approved by the executive director as an eligible developer pursuant to section 15-307-24 Hawaii Administrative Rules. 3, negotiation and execution of a development agreement. 4, conveyance of the property and development of the project in accordance with the development agreement. 5, subdivision of the property and or creation and amendments to a condominium property regime. And 6, issuance of ground leases for the approved uses of the Kahului Civic Center mixed use complex located at 153 West Ka'ahumanu Avenue, Kahului, Maui, TMK number 23-7-004-003. Is there a motion?
So moved.
We have a second. Is there anyone in the public who would like to offer testimony on this agenda item? If not, I would like to now turn it over to Stan Fujimoto.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Dan Fujimoto with the development section. The state of Hawaii is the owner in fee simple of approximately 5.572 acres at 53 West Kahumanu Avenue, Kahului, Maui. The property was set aside to HHFDC in 2019 for development of a mixed-use project consisting of multifamily affordable rental housing, office space / civic center, parking, a new Maui bus hub, and other incidental purposes. The project is a collaboration between BAGS and HHFDC. The property is currently occupied by the Department of Education's Adult Education and Lawnmower Operation. Under an MOU with the County of Maui, the county is completing construction of the new Maui bus hub at the southeastern corner of the parcel. In May 2022, HHFDC completed a final EA for a conceptual project consisting of approximately 300 multifamily units and 66,000 square feet of civic center space for DAG's offices, adult education, and the public library. On September 8, 2022, this board approved the issuance of an RFP for the leasehold development of the property and a $5 million DERF interim loan for the RFP developer for planning and development of the project. On March 28, 2023, HHFDC issued an RFP for the master plan and the leasehold development of the residential component, which could either be a for sale and or rental project. DAGS will develop a civic center component as funding becomes available. A fact sheet for the RFP is attached to the for action as Exhibit C. On the RFP deadline of July 26, 2023, HHFDC received 3 proposals. An evaluation committee consisting of representatives from HHFDC, DAGS, and the County of Maui Department of Housing and Human Concerns reviewed and scored the proposals and recommends the proposal submitted by EAH Housing. The recommended site plan conceptually follows the site plan of the final EA. The recommended residential component is a 303-unit affordable multifamily rental housing project in 2 5-story buildings in 2 phases over ground level parking with 320 parking stalls. Except for 2 managers units, all of the units will be affordable to families at 30 to 60% or below the AMI for the proposed 99-year term of the ground leases. The proposed units are 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. Copies of selected site and building concept plans from EAH's proposal are attached to the for action as exhibits D and E. Along Connie Street, the first floor of the residential building features tall windows and active program uses such as its main lobby, management office, multi-purpose community room, laundry facility, mail and package lockers, as well as bicycle parking. The residential main lobby is articulated by a vertical design feature that rises up 6 stories and sits facing the future civic center, sharing the vehicular entry with open spaces on both sides to create an active public space between the buildings. The project is targeted to meet LEED certification and utilize a range of sustainable strategies, including solar thermal water heating, planned spaces for ride-share stalls, EV charging stalls, sun shading, large operable windows for natural ventilation, low volatile organic compound paint and finishes, high albedo asphalt concrete for paving and roof, and energy efficient light and low flow plumbing fixtures. Landscape will feature native plant species that are drought tolerant. Some proposed amenities include the following: community room, 2 recreation decks, 2 fitness centers, 2 lounges, 2 bicycle storage locations, a computer room, social service room, 2 lobbies, 2 laundry facilities, and 2 mail and package lockers. The developer proposes ground leases of 99 years with lease premiums to HHFDC of $1.525 million for phase 1 and $825,000 for phase 2, and lease rent for each phase commencing in year 2029 at $14,205 per year, with 3% escalation per year for the term of the leases, and supplemental payments from surplus cash flow subject to a cap of 10% of land value. HHFDC estimates that the net present value of the lease payments to HHFDC at the 5% discount rate is approximately $3.3 million. The total project budget is estimated to be approximately $193 million. Because of the size of the project and funding limitations, the developer's two-phase proposal should be more advantageous in obtaining financing versus if the project was in a single phase. EAH Inc. is a 501c3 nonprofit organization established in Northern California in 1968. EAH Inc. expanded to Hawaii in 1996 and now manages over 2,700 units in 28 properties in Hawaii. A listing of EAH's current real estate portfolio in California and Hawaii is attached to the for action as Exhibit F, and a listing of EAH's development experience in Hawaii is attached to the for action as Exhibit G. EAH's proposed development team includes the following local firms: Lowney Architecture, Moss Construction, Settlemire Law, and EAH Housing for Property Management. This for action seeks approval of the following for the Kahului Civic Center mixed-use complex in Kahului, Maui, substantially as described in this for action. Proposal submitted by EAH Inc. for the master plan and the leasehold development, ownership, and operation of a 303-unit affordable family rental project. EAH Inc. or other successor entity approved by the executive director as an eligible developer pursuant to section 15-307-24 HAR. Negotiation and execution of a development agreement for the project. Development of the project in accordance with the development agreement. Subdivision of the property and or creation and amendments to condominium spatial units for a mixed-use project in accordance with the development agreement, and issuance of ground leases for the specified uses, subject to the following unless otherwise extended by the executive director. Execution of the development agreement by December 31, 2024. Receipt of all discretionary approvals of the residential project by December 31, 2026. Commencement of construction of phase 1 by December 31, 2028. And completion of construction of phase 2 by December 31, 2031. The developer is here and they will introduce themselves and provide a short presentation, after which we are available for questions.
Good morning. Can you both introduce yourselves before you present?
Sure, well. So I want to thank Stan, he was pretty thorough, and I hope I don't get too repetitive here. I'm just here for the pretty pictures, right, the show. Anyway, good morning, and to the chair and the board members, and thank you. I'm Karen Seddon, I'm the regional vice president for EAH. Other members of the EAH team are Quester, we have Marion, and Sunday. From our development team, we also have, let's see, Grant from Lowney, and from Moss, we have Chevis and Matt. And then from PBR, we have Tom. So. For the next. Okay. So let's start out with some information about EAH. The mission of EAH housing is to expand the range of opportunities for all by developing, managing, and promoting quality, affordable housing in diverse communities. So between California and Hawaii, EAH has 235 communities under management, serving over 25,000 residents, of which 107 communities were developed or acquired by EAH. 2023 marks the 55th anniversary of, that's hard to get out, the 55th anniversary of EAH's founding in 1968. So EAH has been creating affordable housing communities in Hawaii for over 25 years, with the development and management of 12 communities and management of 11 additional communities for a total of 2,722 units. There are 3 projects in the pipeline that will add another 284 units for a total of 3,006 units. So the team that generated the proposal for the Kahului Civic Center affordable housing portion of the mixed-use project includes EAH, Lowney Architecture, Moss, PBR, along with critical contributions from various other consultants that you see the list here. So on to the project. Here you'll see, I think you're probably familiar with where the site is. You've probably seen the RFP and you have your packet. So this is at the corner of Kane Street and West Kahumanu Avenue in Kahului. So the site plan, we show 2 buildings, and building 1 and building 2 are full. So building 1 is phase 1 and building 2 is phase 2. So as I go through, I sort of go back and forth. The U-shaped building and an L-shaped building with a total of 303 units. There's 5 floors of apartments. In each building with 320 surface parking spaces and various program spaces on the ground level. The typical floor plan shows the layout of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. The majority of the units are 2 bedroom, about 58%, with about 35% of 1 bedroom, and almost 7% are 3 bedroom units. The 3 bedrooms tend to be in the corners there. So this shows the unit plans, which are 25 by 22 or 32 or 42 respectively for the 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, which is about 519, 762, and then 1,006 square feet for the 1, 2s, and 3s. So getting to the pretty pictures, this is an aerial perspective that is Malcolm Mackay. This is a Mackay-Malka perspective. And then this is a Mackay-Malka perspective that's a little bit closer, right across from Kahumanu Avenue. So Stan went through and gave an extensive list. This is sort of an abbreviated list of some of the amenities. Community amenities include on-site laundry facilities, elevators, computer room, community room, lounges, fitness room in each building. Unit amenities are complete kitchens with full-size appliances, high-quality cabinetry, solid surface countertops, contemporary vinyl plank flooring, ceiling fans with large windows, and internet and cable ready and phone ready. Okay, this shows the unit mix by bedroom under the designated AMIs of 30, 50, and 60%. The same information is basically on pages 1 and 2 of the 4 action. So sources include 4% bond, LIHTC, DERF, Rental Housing Revolving Fund, and the County Affordable Housing Fund. I will note that while this is our initial look at penciling the project and concept, we will be identifying other funding sources. We'd like to see if we can get project-based vouchers and a few other things to throw in here. So building 1 has a total development cost of about $123.3 million, which breaks down to about $626,000 per unit or $643 per square foot. Building 2 has a total development cost of about $69.7 million for $658 thousand per unit or $682 per square foot. So on the schedule, the top row there, what you'll see is that both phases will proceed through discretionary approvals together. And then when you come to the bottom row, we will bifurcate financing approvals and ministerial approvals. So there'll be about a year lag on those. But as the project goes through and we come back in phase one and then come back in for phase two, the construction will end up overlapping so that both phases will finish in 2029 with the phase one finishing in June and phase two finishing in November of that same year. So we look forward to getting started on this project with your approval today, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Board members, do you have questions for staff or developer?
I just wanted to say, I'm glad to see something happening finally at that location. It's been a long time coming, so hopefully we can speed it up a little bit.
As you know, I lived on Maui for 15 years,
I
and
do.
it's been there a long time, waiting for something to happen, and we're really happy to be able to
Thank you.
be a part of it.
Just
Sure,
the
yes.
point of order, I'm gonna have to recuse myself from the vote.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I have a potential.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
bringing that up. Appreciate that. You have questions on this side? I have a question. And I see, from the materials that were provided to us. In the call out of the RFP, it's one of the call outs was that more than 50% of the residential units shall be affordable to households at 140 and below, which you've clearly met because all of your units are at 60 and below. And my question is, going forward, I know there's time to, and you mentioned you're gonna look at other financing, but do you see any possible opportunities to bring in financing that can allow for a broader range of incomes to be served with this project? So, like we had a tier 2 rental housing revolving fund source that came out once, which went up to 100% of median, and there may be future opportunities for that. I don't know. But if there are, would you consider that as part of programming into your project?
Absolutely, and we have a little bit of time in here, right? So if hopefully that we can all work to get tier 2 back on the table and get some funding into that.
Okay,
I'm also looking forward to income averaging, which would get us into the 80%.
that's good, because,
And we'd like
that's
to use
good.
that as well.
yeah, because we, sometimes hear complaints that, how come everything is 60 and below? We're missing a large part of our workforce, the gap housing. So, yeah, appreciate you being open to that and looking for opportunities there.
We definitely will.
Yeah. And I also just wanted to thank Mr. Fujimoto for providing us with a very comprehensive 4 action. It was a really good read. So thank you for all your work on that. And I do have a question though for Stan, if I may ask also. It was noted in the 4 action that there were 2 other proposers.
Yes.
That were participating, and I know there's a tremendous, and you can attest to this, Karen, there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into preparing proposals like this. For a proposer that is not selected, do they have an opportunity to be debriefed by the corporation?
We debrief if we have any request by the evaluation committee. It's not a requirement. In this case, we did not get any requests. The evaluation committee did not feel that debriefing is necessary. We were able to, for as this proposals were submitted, and we're also prudent in trying to proceed as quickly as possible because of the Maui situation.
I understand. I'm asking more from a proposer's perspective that if if they're not selected, they may want to have discussion to see where maybe they didn't score quite as well as they could have, to see where they could improve, you know, for the, maybe a future opportunity. It's just really coming from that.
Yeah, the RFP specifies that evaluation and award is not public until we execute the GA and the ground lease.
Oh,
After that,
okay,
we can provide a debriefing.
okay. And then I just have one other question on the timetable. Shows November 2025 completing construction plans and documents for phase 1 and 2, but then it also, for phase 1, it specifies January 2027 for approval of construction plans and permits for phase 1. Is that correct?
Reasonable, right,
Is
it's
that-
a proposal from the.
That's what came in through the proposal, okay. Just, okay, it seemed like a fairly long lag between completed plans and the issuance of permits, so.
Obviously, we're, as we
Try
get
to speed
started
it
here,
up.
we'll, yes,
Okay,
you want to leave yourself a little leeway, but at the same time, you know, we know time is of the essence, particularly, you know, with what's happening now, like, so.
I understand.
We definitely want to, we'll do everything we can to.
Oh, yeah, I know you will, it's just a question, that's all.
It's also synchronized with the funding cycle, so finance branch.
Okay. Anyone else?
So
Good question.
just a quick question about
Sure.
the civic center.
Excuse me,
The-
you're going to recuse
Oh, okay.
Oh,
All right, thanks. Thank you.
okay. If there are no further questions, thank you for the presentation, and thank you for the comprehensive write-up. I will call for the question. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, at this point in time, I'd like to take a 10-minute recess and we will be back shortly.
No problem.
Have something going to see.
I'd like to call the meeting back to order. We are now on agenda item 3J. This is to approve proposed new chapter 15-321 titled Affordable Homeownership Revolving Fund Program, Hawaii Administrative Rules implementing the provisions of section 201H-206 Hawaii Revised Statutes by establishing an affordable affordable homeownership revolving fund program. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we have a second. Is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? Okay, if not, I'd like to turn it over to our planner, Chris Woodard.
Thanks. Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Act 227, Session Laws of Hawaii 2021, which was codified as Section 201H-206 Hawaii Revised Statutes, established the Affordable Homeownership Revolving Fund, or ARB, to be administered by the HHFDC. The purpose of ARB is to, in whole or in part, provide loans to nonprofit community development financial institutions, or CDFIs, and nonprofit housing development organizations for the development of affordable homeownership housing projects. This proposed rule would implement the provisions of 201H-206 by establishing an ARF program. The Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2022, as later amended, appropriated $5 million to the fund. And HHFDC must adopt ARF program rules to govern, among other things, allowable uses of monies in the fund, the loan application process, application evaluation criteria, and financing requirements. In October of 2022, this board approved rules for the program that provided for competitive funding rounds based on prescribed evaluation criteria and contemplated lending only to nonprofit housing development organizations. During the public hearing process, as a result of the public hearing process and concern expressed regarding the exclusion of CDFIs from the admin rules, HHFDC did not transmit the rules to the governor for final approval. And I'll just briefly comment on that. At the time, we didn't have a sufficient understanding of how CDFI is intended to deploy and leverage the capital provided by HHFDC, and that they would specify projects in the application process. And probably more importantly, in combination with that, we were endeavoring to get the rules that we proposed at the time adopted under the ED administration. So it was a little bit of a rush. I'll admit that. As currently proposed in the rules, loan awards will not be made through competitive funding rounds in which projects are scored. Rather, in evaluating applications in chronological order of receipt, the corporation shall give a preference to applications for loans for the development of projects that meet the minimum criteria set forth in section 3A1A above. And those are projects or units and projects that are funded by programs of HUD, USDA Rural Development, and the United States Treasury CDFI Fund, wherein at least 50% of the available units are reserved for persons and families with incomes at or below 80% of the median family income, and of which at least 5% of the available units are for persons and families having incomes at or below 50% of the median family income, and B, remaining units are reserved for persons and families having incomes at or below 120% of the median family income. So this is similar to the process that we have for evaluating dwelling unit revolving fund applications. In section 3C, we summarized the loan fees and charges that are in the proposed rules. They're relatively minimal. And the proposed rules are attached at exhibit A for action. I must mention that we had help with redrafting these rules, and we got help from Janice Takahashi, took the lead on it. If you don't recall Janice, she was a better looking chief planner and more experienced too. Staff's recommendation is that the HHFDC Board of Directors approve the proposed Chapter 15-321 Affordable Homeownership Revolving Fund Program, Hawaii Administrative Rule, subject to one, approval as formed by HHFDC's Deputy Attorney General, and two, approval by the governor. Also authorize the executive director or his designated representatives to conduct a public hearing on the adoption of the proposed rules. Authorize the executive director to make any necessary non-substantive amendments to the proposed rules following the public hearing, which may include the incorporation of public comments. And finally, after the public hearing, authorize the executive director to transmit the proposed rules to the governor for final approval, provided that no substantive amendments are made. Staff from the planning branch and also the finance branch are available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Board members, do you have any questions? Maybe two. As you mentioned, this won't be administered through a competitive funding round. So when you, how will you open it up to start the receipt of applications?
I think David is probably best to answer that, but
So we're just gonna basically put out one notice of availability.
Okay.
We're gonna publish it. We're gonna publish the application at the same time. And as applications come in, we will evaluate them one at a time.
Okay, and as applications come in, since there's $5 million appropriated for initially for this program, will you be looking at any cap on requests as far as the amounts, the terms of the loan, the length of the loans, those kinds of things?
Yes, so there won't be any cap for the application, obviously, so the project or CFI could come in and request it all if they want to.
Yeah.
Projects will be evaluated individually based on underwriting criteria as if it were a construction loan. Applicants will be evaluated that way as well, evaluating repayment plan, how soon they can turn and convert, because this is basically a gap financing plan for construction, which would be theoretically paid off once construction is complete. It's converted, funds would come back in and revolve. So if you look at the goal of revolving this fund, then if one or two projects were to take the bulk and pay it all at the same time, it'll allow it to revolve faster. Each project will be awarded, evaluated individually for its merits, and underwriting will be done based on its criteria.
Okay, and those awards, will they come back to the board for approval?
Correct.
Each particular award.
yeah, it's a small, relatively small amount of money available. I think we wouldn't mind seeing one or two applicants take the full 5 million and kind of prove the success or prove the demand and hopefully success of the program.
Good.
And which may lead to additional infusion of the fund by the legislature.
This is a great alternative for self-help projects and CFIs to not have to go to the commercial market anymore. What would amount to a smaller source of bridge loan financing. So
Great. Thank you for getting this before us today. Great. Anyone else have questions? Okay, if not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Going on to item 3K, section 3K of today's agenda. This is to approve the use of the villages of Kapolei spending budget to support the repair of the perimeter walls residing on HHFDC land located in the villages of Kapolei, Oahu, TMK numbers 19-1- various.
Morning, Chair.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm gonna ask for a motion first. We have, Jason beat me to the punch. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the public wishing to give testimony on this agenda item? If not,
Morning,
floor is
Chair,
yours.
sorry. Morning, members of the board. I'm Rodney Shiriishi. I'm the Development Support Manager for the Development Support Branch here. Yes, today, I asked the board to approve the use of Villages of Kapolei's spending budget for matters related to the perimeter wall. So as we all know, our predecessor HFDC developed the villages in Kapolei starting in the 80s. The development included the construction of perimeter walls around the individual villages, providing residents with a visual and a sound barrier from the main thoroughfare. And over the 30 years, the wall is showing signs of deterioration, and sections have damages. Some of the sections of the wall, and I've shown it in the 4 action, it's highlighted in red, have narrow strips of property that belong to HHFDC. The property that the lines that you see in green belong to the villages of Kapolei. There's over the years, it was always intended to convey that narrow strip beneath the wall to the villages of Kapolei. But attempts that we tried to do that weren't successful. So the dispute here is that VOCA feels like the walls sit on our property, so we should fix it. However, HHFDC's point is that the DCCNR clearly states, and I'll read it here, that each owner of the lot will maintain or cause his sub-association, if applicable with respect to areas to be maintained by such sub-association, to maintain in. We should discuss that in executive session. Sorry? Discuss that in executive session. Okay. Okay. So, VOCA and HHFDC need to go into discussion.
In executive
Yeah,
session.
so
Okay.
Chair, at this time, the board may want to go into executive session to consult with the board's attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities with respect to the use of DERF budget for the perimeter wall matters.
Okay, well, thank you. I think at this time I'd like to ask the board for a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we will be going into executive session and asking, I guess, those who don't need to be part of that to leave the room. Okay, we are now out of executive session. I do want to report to the public that the board in executive session discussed with its executive director and staff the ongoing dispute with maintenance of perimeter walls at the villages of Kapolei. And we further discussed alternatives for resolving the dispute. In addition, the board approved executive session meeting minutes for May 11th, 2023, and also June 8th, 2023. With that, I'd like to move to item.
We gotta vote on the actual.
That's what I'm. Okay, so, okay, since we are now out of the executive session, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the four action.
Any discussion?
Or is there any discussion? Yeah, we did take that in executive session. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now I'd like to move on to section 3L. This is an agenda item. This is an informational item on the state of Hawaii program year 2022. That's July 1, 2022 through June 30, 2023. Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, Office of Community Planning and Development's Home Investment Partnerships, Housing Trust Fund, Emergency Solutions Grant, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS programs. So we have
Carrie Higa
Carrie.
from Planning. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the board. This informational item provides a summary of HHFDC's Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, or CAPER, for program year 2022. The completion of the CAPER is required by HUD annually and reports on the progress being made in administering the Home National Housing Trust Fund, Emergency Solutions Grant, and Housing Opportunities for Persons with AIDS programs. HHFDC is the lead agency that oversees the consolidated plan and is responsible for administration of home and HTF programs. The Homeless Programs Office of the Department of Human Services is responsible for the administration of the ESG and HOPWA programs. Table 2 on page 3 shows the accomplishments for the home program during the program year, covering the period July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. In program year 2022, a total of 102 households were served with tenant-based rental assistance, 35 under the County of Kauai's 2020 TBRA program, and 67 under the County of Maui's COVID-19 TBRA program. The Homeless Programs Office of the Department of Human Services administers the ESG and HOPWA programs, which provide support services and assists individuals and families who are living on the streets or in shelters with finding and maintaining permanent housing. Activities and accomplishments for these programs are progressing or on target for their respective deadlines and are summarized on pages 4 and 5. Under the National Housing Trust Fund program in program year 2022, there were no projects completed. However, each of HHFDC's neighbor island subgrantees have HTF activities planned or underway with expected completion in the next few years. For program year 2022, the City and County of Honolulu elected not to receive HTF funds. Therefore, the entire allocation of $3,744,423, less 5% for HHFDC's administration costs, were allocated to Kauai County and will be used toward the new construction of affordable rental housing units. HHFDC will continue to offer the 50% of the state's annual HTF allocation to the city. The full draft CAPER is available for review on HHFDC's website, and I'm available for questions if you have any.
Before we get to questions, is there anyone from the public that would like to give testimony on this agenda item? If not, we'll open it up to the board for questions for Carrie. Anyone? Just a quick one, Carrie. How are you guys doing with Chodos? Is there at least one on each neighbor island? That you work with?
Always been a challenge. I think on each neighbor island county, we do have Chodos. The only one in question would be Maui.
Maui
Yeah,
County
Maui
was having
County.
trouble finding.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like 2023, but with the recent wildfires and the HUD waivers available, they don't have to select the photo.
Oh, okay.
And they may not. But they were having trouble prior.
Okay, yeah. Stuff.
It is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all the work you do.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And there's no other questions. We'll just receive this agenda item for today. Since it's up for information. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will now move on to section 4 of our agenda, the report from the executive director, which.
Okay, thank you. My report is for you in your packets. I described the fire relief housing program, and I just want to take this time to commend certain staff members and recognize their contribution. This was a team effort. More than 40 staff members were directly involved, but there are certain people who really stepped up, and among them are our IT specialists, Mark Orbito and Hammer Betiong. It's amazing how quickly they stood up a website and created the framework for staff to gather data and put it into an online database so they can all simultaneously work on this and continuously update the website and on their own initiative, make it a very user-friendly website that's easily used by the public. If you haven't seen the website, I encourage you to go on there and look at it. It's really something. Gordon Tang, our PIO, I think for the first 2 weeks after the fire, I don't think he slept at all. There was a lot of crossing wires going on, a lot of us trying to figure out what other agencies are doing. So there was a lot of external communication that Gordon handled to get the word out, as long as internal communication where we're trying to gather information what other agencies are doing so we can inform staff and so that they can inform the public as they call us. So Gordon did a great job of that. And last, David Roy, for the first 2 weeks, I was spending about half my day at the convention center where the emergency operations center was. So I needed somebody here at the office to manage day-to-day operations for the program, and David stepped up and did a great job. For Waihole, just want to give you a short update there. There are 13 agricultural lessees that have requested mediation, so that's going to take place on October 27th. For the residential lessees, 49 or 53 lessees we've reached agreement with them. So we don't think that there's going to be any arbitration needed. We think we'll either come to agreement with the remaining 4 or they might surrender their leases. And for the 2 commercial leases, of course, those concluded a while back. And one more thing I just want to mention for you folks is that we have been working to develop best practices for onboarding new board members. This actually came up from a request by WAM, who wanted onboarding procedures for all DBIT attached agencies. And we found that we didn't have that in writing. We always had a process that we followed, but it was never in writing. So we've developed those procedures. Part of that is to offer new board members or any board members opportunity to meet with staff to learn about what we do and to answer any questions you might have. So I extend that invitation to you all. If you want to meet with staff, learn about what we're doing. If you want to have any questions for us, we're more than happy to meet with you. Also, we're making available various resources, such as our resource book, which has a description of all of our projects and funding programs, our annual report, and certain administrative rules and pertinent statutes on a OneDrive, which is I'm not sure, I think it might have already been shared with you. If you haven't, if it hasn't been shared, it will be shared with you soon. So you can take a look at that and let us know if you have any questions about that also. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Dean? No?
So yeah, compliment, thank you for your staff for putting up that program. And I know it was a lot of work in a short period of time. So I know we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Your period mark.
Okay, there's no further business today. I'd like to ask for a motion to adjourn. Your second. All in favor, say aye. Aye, we are adjourned. Thank you.